Welcome to the Launch Perspective podcast. So excited that you're joining me today because this is a very special podcast, both for me and for you as a listener. And the reason is because I'm welcoming my very first guest on the podcast. So far, I've done all solo podcasts, but today is a very special day, not only because it's my first guest, but because of who the guest is. Today's topic is how to transition from a 9-to-5 job into creating a digital course online business. And thrilled to have the master of creating online digital course businesses, Amy Porterfield. And I'm sure many of you know who Amy is. You have heard of her, but if not, I want you to know that Amy is not only an online marketing expert, but she is the host of the top ranked podcast, Online Marketing Made Easy. And I'll share a little bit about her. And before she was a multi-million-dollar digital course business creator, she worked with mega brands like Harley Davidson and peak performance coach Tony Robbins, where she oversaw the content team, collaborated on groundbreaking online marketing campaigns, and of course, through her best-selling courses and her very popular podcast, Amy provides a step-by-step action approach. And I can attest to this. Amy is one of the most amazing trainers and teachers in the online space today. I can personally share as a member of her Digital Course Academy and a member of her Momentum membership that Amy has had a profound impact on my life and business. In fact, I first heard of Amy Porterfield in 2014 when the person I was working for at the time wanted to turn her physical course products into digital products. So she hired me as a techie person, somebody who loved technology, and paid for me to take one of Amy Porterfield's courses. And in that course, that very first webinar with her, she introduced me to digital courses and the amazing opportunity that digital courses provide. So I am over the moon to have her on my podcast today. So please help me welcome Amy Porterfield.
Hello. Oh my goodness. I forgot about how you got introduced to me and how you and I got connected. That's such a cool story. And since then you've done amazing things. So thanks so much for having me.
Yes, I was just so excited because I had no idea back then in 2014 the impact it would have many, many years later, because I was learning from you for all those years, helping other people build businesses, but always in the back of my mind thinking, what would it be like if I could create digital courses for my family? And so thank you for planting that seed all the way back in 2014.
Oh my goodness. I love it. It's so cool.
It is. And, I honestly, when you're dreaming about a business like this, you're hopeful and you're excited, but, you always have those doubts in your mind and you're like, oh, do I have what it takes? And, but I'm so glad I stepped out in faith in 2020 and started my own digital course business. And the rewards have honestly far exceeded my expectations.
Fantastic. Music to my ears.
It really is. So I'd love to hear from you because obviously you have worked with so many business owners. I think I saw like 45,000 people have been impacted by what you teach. So I'd love to know, what are some of the reasons or benefits that you see most people receiving or experiencing by selling digital courses and creating a digital course business? Why should people even consider this option?
Love this question. I feel like starting with the why is so important. And For me, when I first got into digital courses, I specifically was looking for an opportunity to move away from one-on-one work. One-on-one work, consulting, coaching, doing other people's social media in my early years wasn't a good fit for my personality or my creativity. And so I knew early on that I could only make so much money doing one-on-one work. And I also wasn't enjoying it. And so because of that, I thought I need a way to scale my business and reach more people with one product. So for me, it had to do with wanting more freedom. So freedom to be creative, freedom in terms of time and flexibility and revenue. So that's where it started with me. But when I talk to a lot of my students, another thing that they often say is that they can control their finances easier when they map out when they plan to launch, whether they go live launching or evergreen, where you're bringing in money every single day. But you can predict after a few launches what's going to come in. And when you can predict your revenue, you can make better decisions in your business. But again, a lot of my students still come back to that freedom. They want to be their own boss. They want to call the shots. They want to make money how they want to make money, where they want to make money, and the way they want to make it. And so really that tends to be the biggest benefit. Also, a lot of my students love the idea of teaching at once, but reaching many people at one time. That's the whole definition of scaling a business, when you can reach the masses over and over again. So if you create one digital course, but you launch it over and over again throughout the year, you do the work up front, but the rewards are endless. Like the opportunities are endless with that one digital course. So I think that's very attractive to people building businesses as well.
I couldn't agree more. And I think you're right. We all want to create not just a business we love, but the life we love.
Yeah.
Right? We all want that freedom and flexibility, but there's always that voice in the back of your mind that thinks, well, it's worked for other people. I don't know if it would work for me. We all kind of struggle a bit with that imposter syndrome. And honestly, even though I had heard about all of this wonderful opportunity of digital courses in 2014, I didn't launch my business until 2020. So it took a few years to feel like, okay, I'm ready to step out in faith and just go for it. And it was actually 2 weeks before the world was shut down by COVID.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I'm just so grateful because I think back to, I actually loved my corporate job at the time. Right before I launched my business, I was working as a corporate trainer and coach. And I always want to tell people, we're talking about transitioning from a 9-to-5 job, but really it's any type of job.
Yes.
I was in direct sales for 20 years. I've worked for an international speaker. I was that corporate trainer and coach, and I loved each pieces of the journey, but I always felt in my heart that, oh, what benefit would it be for my family, and how many more people could I reach if I launched with digital courses? And so what you just shared has definitely been my experience. It's scary. It's, but I'm so glad that I didn't let fear hold me back. So I love hearing that other people are probably saying the same things. They want to have that freedom, that flexibility, and that financial freedom as well. So I love that. So I got to know though, did you always know you were going to get into digital courses? Like you were working with Tony Robbins. So you said about I wanted to get away from one-on-one coaching, but like, was it instantaneous? Like, I'm going to create a course on this, or did it take a little bit to really find that path to exactly what you knew you needed to deliver to the world?
So I got the idea to want to create digital courses when I was still working with Tony. He actually started doing more online marketing, more courses selling digitally. And that's where I thought, this is so cool. I love to teach. I want to put together a framework and teach it online. So I got the idea while I was still there. But then I went out on my own. And I had no idea how to create a digital course. And there weren't any courses out there that really walked you through step by step. So I decided, okay, I'm going to create my first digital course. I created the course on a topic I wasn't qualified to teach. I was teaching people how to use social media to launch a book. I had never launched a book before, but I was so desperate to figure out something to do that I'm like, I can figure this out. So I put together this course, launched it out into the world, and made a measly $267. Now, the course was $297. I didn't even make enough for one unit. But the challenge was I spent a lot of money trying to figure it out because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't sell that many. So at the end of the day, it wasn't as successful as I thought it would be. I thought I'd make like $100,000 because everyone else seemed to be making tons of money with their launches, which is not true. It just felt that way. And so I went out with a product that I shouldn't have, and it was devastating for me. So that's when I just started focusing on working one-on-one with clients. I would do their social media, or I would do some consulting around social media for about 2 years. But that's when I realized I don't love working one-on-one. It's not my area of expertise, or it's not a strength of mine. I'm better at teaching. And so that's when I realized, wait, I got to figure this out. So I took some extra time to figure it out, and I started to have some small wins with courses that turned into big wins. But yeah, right out of the gate, I knew I wanted to create courses, but I had no idea how to do it. And so I really struggled with that.
But what I love about that story is a mantra that I hold near and dear, and it's to take massive imperfect action, because we really don't know what to launch until we launch.
Yes.
Like, we don't know what we're going to love. We don't know how we're going to want to deliver content. We don't know until we actually get it out in the world. So
it's so true. And one thing I want to point out is, so I created a course. I wasn't really qualified to teach. And now what I teach my students, because of that big, massive mistake, I teach them that all you need is the 10% edge. A 10% edge is basically you have gotten results for yourself or for somebody else, let's say a client, a family member, a friend, but you've gotten results and you know the roadmap of how you got those results and you're willing to teach it in a course. You just need to be 10% ahead of those that you serve. Just show them the way. You don't need years and years of education, special certification. I believe everybody has a digital course in them, but you do need to base your digital course on an area where you've gotten results. And there are a million things that you could teach in a digital course. Because you're part of my community, we've seen it all. Dog groomers, relationship therapists, weight loss coaches, yoga instructors, business managers, like all different topics that people teach in courses. So I believe everyone has a course in them, but focus on where you've gotten results.
And that is literally, I remember it was my struggle when I first started. I was like, okay, so I'm going to launch this digital course business. What is my first course going to be? And I love how you have helped me so much just find that clarity, just like you said, in thinking about what do people come to me for? Where do they need help? Where they're reaching out to me and saying, hey, Lydia, I know you're really good with digital organization. How do you set your structure? Or how, I am a certified Evernote consultant. So people were always reaching out to me about Evernote and just tools. And I realized I have something to teach. And what I've learned from you is it's a matter of putting it into a formula, a framework, a blueprint. And sometimes we do things and we don't even realize it is a system.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And that can become your course. It's amazing.
Yes, I love that you brought up a roadmap, a framework, a system. Inside of my program, Digital Course Academy, one of the things I teach my students is how to figure out that framework. It doesn't come naturally to a lot of people because, like you said, we're just doing it all day long. We think everybody knows this stuff. So going through a process of, okay, what would you do first? And what would you add to that? And what are the layers that are needed to understand that? Okay, what do you do next? So walking someone through that process, that framework is there. Sometimes people just need help to get it out of them.
So true. And launching something does help you figure out also not just what you love to deliver, but what your audience wants from you. And that's what I love about what you teach and how you teach, the content to create, to get engagement from your audience, to find out what they really want and need. And that's how your course comes to life. It's amazing. In the beginning, you think, what is it going to look like? But if you just take those step-by-step approaches that you teach, and it all comes together. And before you know it, you look back and you think, wow.
I did that.
Yeah, exactly. But I will say, of course, there is a lot of work involved. I mean, we have to be honest here.
Yes,
It's not
very
all a bed of roses. And I love what you said in the beginning about you think everyone in the world is having six-figure launches. You
much.
just, because you see people sharing and you just think, well, if I have a launch that generates $100, I have failed. And you don't,
Right.
you have to grab that mindset. It's one of the things we share in Launch Perspectives podcast is the fact that launching is never failure. It doesn't matter what the result is because you are learning, earning, or doing both. Right?
Yes.
You got
Yes.
to launch to learn. But let me ask you, what do you think people really do need to understand up front about this journey? What is something they kind of need to prepare in their mindset, their preparation in getting ready to launch a digital course business?
Ooh, okay. So, one of the things I want everyone to understand is that when you are creating and launching a digital course, you are creating an asset in your business that you get to use over and over and over again. I have 3 digital courses in my business. 2 of them are on evergreen, meaning they're automatic. They make money for me every single day. I've got funnels out there and marketing suites to pull it all together, and uh, they generate revenue every single day. But then I do a live launch with my other digital course, and I do that once a year. And I do it differently than Evergreen, but it also is a way to generate a lot of money in a short period of time. So, what I want people to understand is that because you're creating an asset that you get to use over and over again, that means it's worth putting your time, effort, and attention to in a very condensed period of time. So I always tell my students, give yourself a good 90 days to create your course, or longer if your life and business is hectic, you might even need longer. But the greatest thing ever is I've never had a successful student say, Amy, I made $50,000 on my first launch, but that took me way too long. That took 30 days longer than I wanted, or whatever. It's never an issue once you're successful with your digital course. So put the time, energy, and intention to it. I promise you, having an asset that you could launch over and over and over again is business changing and life changing. But give yourself the time to actually create it.
You really do need time. You need to give yourself grace. I think a lot of times when we're in the creation process, we're always like criticizing our journey. It's
Yes.
taking too long. I'm not doing everything right. And you need to understand that success is not a straight line.
Amen.
There's going to be a lot of curves and obstacles along the way, but if you push through, that's where you reap the rewards. And I love your one mantra that I've always adopted and shared, and that is, I can do hard things.
Ah, yes.
I
Yes.
learned that from you, and sometimes when I feel that stuck feeling, I'm like, I can do hard things.
Yes. It's such a great reminder. I probably say it to myself 5 times a week. It's so important.
Exactly. So for those thinking, okay, this sounds great, I would love to do this. Where do you think is the best place people should start? Because that's where the overwhelm starts to set in. I want to do this, but where in the world do I start?
Oh, I love this question. So, the first thing you want to think about is what type of course might you create based on your expertise and your knowledge and your know how? Like you said, when people start asking you how to do this or how do you figure that out, because that's your expertise, listen to the questions people ask you. And I teach this thing called the sweet spot, where you look at 4 different quadrants: your expertise, your knowledge, your know how. And then also, what do people pay for? The other quadrant is, what are they paying for based on this area that you might want to create a course around? Are there podcast episodes about it? Are there books about it? Are there other trainings about it? If so, that's a really good thing. You also want to look at where your audience that you want to serve, where are they struggling? Where are they starting at? What do they ask you that they need? What do they want? Understanding your audience, it's always a journey, a lifelong journey to understand your audience more, but just make some educated guesses there. The 4th quadrant would be, what lights you up? What would you love to talk about all day long? Because you might be a tax expert, but you might never want to talk about taxes again. You might be burned out and you want to go in a totally different direction. Don't create a course on a topic you don't want to talk about. So I love starting with anybody that gets into my world. We'll talk about the course topic first, because once you have a course topic, it lights you up. So I have a boot camp coming up. It's not available yet. But this boot camp, it goes through getting people started with their first digital course. We choose their topic. We choose how much you want to charge for the course and what type of course it's going to be so that you could do some course math to see what's possible. And then we also talk about growing your email list so that you have people to sell to when you're ready to launch. So I've got a boot camp coming up. It's called Course Confident. I know you're going to link to an opportunity later so people can check it out, but it's definitely the perfect place to start.
And I've been in all of your boot camps since I met you, Amy.
Love you.
I always recommend your boot camps. And, the boot camps that you've held that teach this concept of creating a digital course and a digital course business, I love how you do start with these foundational things, the decisions that are going to have the greatest impact, because a lot of business owners, they think, well, I need a website. That's the first thing I have to think about is a website. And that is not the first thing you have to think about.
Agree.
Right?
So,
so just having someone like you has so much experience in this and has helped impact so many entrepreneurs. I love that you hold these boot camps to do this foundational things that we just don't know. We all don't know what we don't know. And that's what I love about your boot camp. Now, I will share what I really love about the boot camp, of course, is it sets up the belief, awareness, all the things you need to really understand if this is the journey you want to take. And then you invite people to join Digital Course Academy, which I just have to say had such a profound impact on my business. You taught so many foundational things, but you also jump into the more advanced tips, because I actually did do 2 launches before I joined Digital
some
Course
people come
Academy.
in like that. I have the brand newbies who never ever have done anything like this before. But then I have people more seasoned like you where they've launched a few times, but they want to know some of the strategies I use to get bigger results.
I totally jumped in ready to want to scale. And of course, you only offer this program once a year or so. And
Right.
I would have jumped in sooner if it had been opened. but you weren't there in March of 2020, Amy. So I had to wait till that fall.
I get it.
And I jumped in. And let me just share, in the beginning of the journey, we do feel like it's a little bit of an uphill battle, right? Because we're putting in so much effort and so much energy, which can result in what feels like little result. But because of what I learned from you, the evergreens, how to implement Facebook ads, how to actually promote my offer in a launch. That was huge for me. All of these pieces start to add up, and it's like a ball of snow going down the hill. It gains that momentum.
Absolutely.
And that is truly my first year. I felt like was an uphill battle. My second year in business, it's like, whoo, check out all this amazing momentum, which is why I love partnering with you when you do Digital Course Academy, because it profoundly impacted my business. So I know that's getting ready to launch soon. Do you want to talk about it and share what that is a little bit?
Yes. So I am on a mission to help as many people as possible find more freedom in their personal lives and in their business. And like I said earlier, I believe a digital course is the single most important asset to allow you to have more freedom in your business because you can scale quickly. I also believe it's a really cool way to allow your expertise and your knowledge to get out into the world in a really big way. You get to impact even more lives. So what I'll say is that a lot of people who are thinking about creating a course, they might say, well, I just don't know if I have a good enough topic. It usually starts there. And some people even think maybe I have a boring topic. So I mentioned taxes earlier, but one of my students, his name is Mark, he's a tax expert, and he just kind of fell upon people in these selling spaces, Amazon sellers, Etsy sellers, people like that. They started reaching out to him about tax questions. And he thought, you know what? I'm getting a lot of these questions. This could possibly be a digital course. But he was afraid because he said, this is a boring topic. Who's going to take a digital course on taxes for resellers? But he thought, well, there's a lot of questions, so I'm just going to go for it. And in his very first launch, he made $39,000 for a topic he thought was too boring. But then, and again, this is what I want people to know, he launched again, same course, made $107,000 because when you launch, you grow your email list. So those people who didn't buy are more likely to buy next time. He launched again, made over $120,000. So what I want people to know is Digital Course Academy will take you step by step by step through creating a course from scratch, starting with nothing, and then how to market it so that you can actually bring in revenue where your digital course is your single biggest revenue generator, or maybe it's a supplement. You have additional revenue coming in through a course and other things that you're doing. So there's no stone left unturned. We've got templates and how-to videos and tech videos and all the stuff you would need. It's literally everything you need A to Z to create and launch a digital course.
It really is. And I'll just share a personal story. So while I really did jump in cold turkey, left a corporate job and just said, I'm doing this.
Wow.
Which I know not everyone does that.
No.
And that was a dream come true. But the bigger dream came true 18 months later after launching a number of times after Digital Course Academy. I was able to retire my husband from his 30-year IT career.
Oh my goodness. I have some questions. First of all, was he so scared to take that leap? That is a big deal.
I think I might have been more scared than him.
I love it. And now, does he work in your business now?
Yeah, so I retired him from a 30-year career, and we had always dreamed of working together, but really we dreamed of living life together in a way where he wasn't going to be on call working 50 hours a week for a corporation. I mean, the stress after a 30-year career, I've heard too many stories of people retiring and then dying because they've worked their entire lives for someone else so hard and they don't get it. I'm like, I am not going to be that person. I want us to enjoy life starting in our 50s. I just turned 50, not much older.
Congrats.
But my husband is 4 years older than me. And I'm like, I don't want him to retire at 67, 72. I wanted to live the life we want to create now. So after 18 months, we were able to retire him. And when he first joined the business, it was like, well, he's very technical as well. So he helped with a lot of behind the scenes, but he's now my podcast manager. And perfect. What a blessing that we get to work together. He is doing something I don't enjoy doing. I just like sharing the content and let him do everything else.
Same girl.
I mean, what a dream. So I honestly, when I first started, don't think I had a big enough dream. I thought, well, I'm going to replace my business, but I didn't realize it could replace both of our businesses. That was huge.
2 months is fast, for the record. That's very impressive. And that's why I love digital course businesses, because what you're able to do, the money you're able to make is incredible, but the impact as well, the impact to your life and your students' life. It's just so different than anything that I've ever seen in a business model before. And that's why I'm so excited about it. But to hear that your life is better because of it, that's what I love the most. I mean, the business stuff, we can talk about it all day long, but when your personal life is better because of it, that's the stuff I live for.
It's so impactful. He actually took over homeschooling my son.
Oh my gosh.
What an amazing relationship and opportunity they're having together. We get to travel to visit family at any time. I mean, it's just such a blessing. But I will say not everyone is going to quit a job. You know, I never tell my clients, even, please don't quit your job tomorrow. And like, let's think this through a bit. Yeah, but if there's anyone who maybe is not ready to take quite such a dramatic jump, how could they kind of transition? Like they're working a job that's secure for them right now, but they really do dream of a different type of financial security. How can they kind of get going on that process while currently working in any capacity?
Well, you're speaking my language, girl, because I have a book coming out. We're not here to promote a book, but it's coming out next year called 2 Weeks Notice. And it's all about quitting what is no longer serving you, whether you're working with clients, you're in a 9-to-5 job, corporate, whatever, and moving toward what you really want, which is creating a business on your terms. And what I tell my students is we don't need to jump ship. It took me a full year to from the day I decided I wanted to leave my job with Tony Robbins and the day I actually pulled out of that San Diego office, that was a full year, and a lot of transition happened in that year. So I'm all about baby steps. You're way more brave than I am to just go cold turkey. And so it took me a while. And one of the beautiful things about baby steps is you can create a side hustle. And I am a big fan of the side hustle. And the side hustle essentially is making money on the side while you're going to your full-time gig, whatever that might be. A digital course is a perfect way to start a side gig. Many of my successful students, those that are making 5, 6 figures with their launches, still are in 9-to-5 jobs. They haven't yet taken the leap because it's scary to leave behind what is so known and comfortable. So start a side hustle, use your digital course as a way to see if this is a direction you'd like to go. And when that digital course starts making good money, you can make that decision. Am I ready to let go of my past and move into my future?
That is such a great example. And I think it's awesome because you're right. So many of us are in survival mode. We're not thinking of being in thriving mode. And we don't want to just survive, but you're right. We need to take care of our family and take care of our needs immediately, but we should always be thinking to what we want to create for our future, because that's going to impact the decisions we make today. And
so true.
Right. And jumping into something like this, that was an awesome example of how people can get started. So I do want to share a link before I go into our last question. And I want to let you all know that the wait list for Digital Course Academy is open right now. Digital Course Academy is not open. However, if you get on the wait list, then you will get information about the boot camp that Amy just referred to. So you want to go to lydiamartin.biz/DCA, all lowercase. But if you go to that link, that is where you can get on the wait list for Digital Course Academy. That's how you get the information about the boot camp. Again, lydiamartin.biz/DCA. That's my partner link. I love connecting people with Amy and Digital Course Academy, and I support those who join as well. But more than anything, get in that boot camp because it's going to open your world and your mind to possibilities you may not have considered for your future.
Absolutely. The boot camp is extra special. So I want to be transparent. It's $47. It's not free. It's the cheapest thing I offer. So it's worth it. And we say it's a 5-day live boot camp. We say live because I'm in the group every single day, multiple times a day, coaching my students and helping them move forward to see if a digital course is right for them. But we actually are in there for 2 full weeks together. We extend it and we do some extra fun things. So it is such a great experience. If you're ever curious about digital courses, it's exactly where you should start.
I mean, $47 to potentially change your future. I would 100%.
Let's do it all day long.
That is worth it. So before we wrap up, just one more question. I am always curious to know if you were starting your digital course business today, all right, what advice would you give yourself?
I love this question. If I was starting over, starting from scratch, what the advice I'd give myself is I would set a due date and say, okay, I'm going to have my course out into the world on this date, whether it's 60 days from now, 90 days from now, 6 months, whatever I want. I would set the date, put it on a Post-it, put it somewhere where I see it every day, and share that with an accountability partner or a peer of mine. Because what I see is people get really excited, but they don't know how to just get it out into the world. And the only way you do that is you just push it out, because you're right. You said it earlier. You will learn so much about how you want to do it differently or what you want to tweak. You'll never learn that unless you get it out into the world. So if I was starting over, I would say, okay, this date, rain or shine, my course is getting out into the world. And then I would find somebody who I feel has paved the way, and I would follow their roadmap. Whether you learn from me or somebody else, what I learned from my Tony Robbins days is never go at it alone. Don't try to figure it out, just hunting and pecking all over the web. find somebody who's gone before you, who has had the success that you want, and learn from their roadmap. And that's exactly what we offer in DCA. And especially, let's say down the road, people decide to join the program through you, they'll get your support and my support, which is just a beautiful thing. So it's worth looking into at least.
It really is. And I always think, dreaming is one thing, but doing is something
Yeah,
else. And
totally
you
different.
you get to the point where you just think, okay, I'm going to get the information, I'm going to do my research, but at some point we have to stop planning, stop researching, stop overthinking and
Yeah,
just do it, right?
do
I
it.
mean, the doing part is peace. But I agree, being alone, that is one big transition. When you do go to your own digital course business, it can feel lonely, but it doesn't have to be lonely because
No.
you can connect with amazing communities who will support you, share their journey. Our Facebook community, where we do this, you can find at launchperspective.community. So if you jump in there with us, we'll put the link in the show notes, of course. Jump in there with us. We always let people know, of course, when Amy is launching things that we would recommend, but we share lots of support for those who are in this digital course journey. So I do hope that you'll join us there. Amy, it has been an absolute honor. I'm still kind of pinching myself that I'm interviewing you as my first podcast guest. So
I can't believe I got to be your first guest. I'm absolutely honored. I am blown away by your success. You are such a great example of someone who has gone for it and made it happen. So thanks for inspiring me and others, and thanks for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
it has been my pleasure. Thanks. And I do want to just inspire and encourage everyone. If you're thinking about joining or starting a digital course, you want to learn more about it, you want to find out about that boot camp, just go to lydiamartin.biz/DCA, get on that wait list so that you don't miss all of the amazing content that Amy shares. Thanks for listening to today's podcast or watching us on YouTube. Be sure to hit subscribe or follow us. And again, Amy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, friend. Take care.